All right, let's talk about how to safely use the miter saw, sometimes referred to as the chop saw. What we have here is a compound sliding miter saw. What that means is it's capable, the miter part means that you can take cuts at different angles this way. So our most common would be something that where we're just chopping across the wood at a 0 degree or 90 degree, however you want to think about it. We can also make sliding cuts. So if I loosen this little black knob back here, our saw is capable of sliding forward and back to accommodate boards that are a little bit thicker. We'll talk about a sliding cut in a minute. In addition to that, it's actually possible to get the head of this saw to swivel side to side for making a beveled cut. You can do any combination of those three changes to make some really interesting cuts, but for the most part what we do here is straight up 0 degree miter cuts or at some other angle, and then occasionally we'll release the slide to make some wider cuts. So I'm going to talk through first what we want to do to make sure before we ever turn the saw on, we're setting ourselves up for safety and success. The number one is that I've got eye protection on. We shouldn't be in this room without it in the first place, but always a good thing to check for. This is one of the louder machines in this room, so it's one that I always recommend hearing protection, like these big yellow earmuffs. They do a great job. I'm going to hold off on putting them on until we're ready to run the saw. The next thing is I'm kind of looking around me to make sure I'm aware of what's going on. If there's somebody working in my vicinity, I want to talk with them and make sure that they understand that I'm going to be working on this saw. I understand what they're doing, so we don't bump into each other while I'm in the middle of making a cut. This roller you'll see out here, it's not necessary for every cut, but if I'm cutting down quite a long board, it's going to want to tilt off the table under its own weight. So this is what we call in-feed support. It just gives me another supportive hand out here holding the wood at the right height. So this has got adjustable height. We use it for different tools, so we want to get it so that our board can lay comfortably across the table of the miter saw. This bench also has some in-feed support built into it. You can loosen this up here and slide it in and out. So for boards up to about 6 feet, this is plenty. If you've got a longer board, it's usually helpful to add this additional in-feed support to the equation so that your board, again, isn't trying to tip off the table under its own weight. Now, if we'll come on in a bit closer over here, if we start looking at what it takes to get this saw ready to make a cut, your first step is going to be to make sure that blast gate is open. And so all you got to do is pull on this little tab, and now when we turn the dust collection system on, the suction will actually flow up there and remove a bunch of the sawdust that we're making. Because you wouldn't be able to hear my voice if we turned it on right now, I'm not going to turn the dust collection on. But it's an essential part before we start making cuts on a typical daily basis. The next thing I want to show you is how we interact with touching this part of the saw as well as unlocking it so we can actually get the blade up. So anytime I'm going to put my hand near the trigger, which is right here, this black piece, if I'm not about to make a cut, I'm going to use an open flat palm. That means there's no way I'm accidentally, as I'm maneuvering this, going to pull that trigger and turn the saw on when I didn't mean to. A flat palm is plenty fine. I can push down gently on the saw, and you'll see it moved a bit there. With it pressed down, this pin, if I pull that out, is what releases the saw into the up position, so I'm ready to kind of line up whatever it is that I'm making a cut. You'll notice this blade guard travels with it to try and keep as much of the saw blade covered as possible for safety. But again, essentially, anytime I'm moving this, when I'm not making a cut, it's with a flat open palm. Now, if you'll come in kind of close, I'll show you how to operate this trigger. This may vary from saw to saw, but on ours, you push this to the side and then you press in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It's going to turn the saw on to the side and then in. And you'll hear it very quickly gets up to speed. There's a little bit of a kick when it goes. That's something that's just good to know to expect. But at this point, I want to make sure if I'm not intending to make a sliding cut, I want to make sure that my slide is locked. Right now it's actually not. So I verify that with this handle. I'm going to put it all the way in the back position, and then I can lock that little black nut on the back. We just loosen and tighten that, and that prevents it from sliding. I also want to make sure that I'm at the correct angle. Most of the time we want 0 degree cuts, so I can just push on this gently, and it will lock in with this little indicator at 0. There are little notches in the table to allow this to lock at really common increments like 15, 30, and 45 degrees. If I want to move this, I can use my thumb to press down right here, and that unlocks it so I can rotate it. If I wanted a 15 degree cut, I would get there and you can feel it locked in. If instead I needed an uncommon one, like I need to measure 12 degrees, I can look for the 12 degree mark, and there's no notch, but I can lock it manually by pressing down on this knob, and now it's not going to move side to side. Whatever angle you're cutting, what I want you to do for safety is first give this a little tug side to side and make sure the blade's not going to accidentally try to turn along the miter path while you're making a cut. So we verified we're locked here. We're also locked here. We've got our blast gate open and our theoretical dust collection is on. I've talked to the people around me and I'm almost ready to make a cut. I'm gonna put my hearing protection on. Open palm, I'll open the saw back up. And my goal for this first cut is gonna be just to square off the end of this piece of scrap we're using for a demo. So I don't want this triangular end right now. So to line this up, I'm going to, with an open palm, bring my blade down to just kind of see where I'm cutting. Sometimes it helps to look from this side. And when I'm happy with where it's lined up, I want you to notice where my left hand is. Right? There's actually a drawing. We don't want to cross this line with our hands as a general rule. So my left hand's always going to be on this big sturdy part of the table supporting the work that I want to cut. In addition to that, I want to make sure my piece isn't like this where it's skewed off the fence or up in the air like that. Only way it's safe to make a cut is with my work flat on the table and flat up against the fence, being supported down and in position. I'm pushing down and into the fence with my left hand. At this point, I'm ready to make a cut. So I'm going to pull the trigger, let the saw get fully up to speed. I'm going to lower it through my material and all the way until it actually bottoms out. You can't hurt the saw by going too far. When it gets there, I'm going to stop the blade and I'm going to wait for it to come to a complete stop before I lift up. That's because this little triangular piece I cut off, if I lift up while the blade's still moving, it can grab hold of that and throw it in some strange direction. We want to avoid that. So I'm going to get my cut lined up, my left hand where I want it, and make the cut. And when it's done rotating, I can slide my piece away, lift that up, and now it's safe to remove this little piece of scrap. At this point, I've got a good clean edge that was cut by the saw. I can measure off there and make another cut. If I wanted to make a miter cut, like we do in our practical test, I may come over to 15 degrees or whatever I'm asked to measure. I'm going to again line this up with an open hand, making sure I'm cutting right where I want to cut. Right there looks good, and I'll make my cut. Stopped. I can remove my scrap. I want it out of this area completely. I don't want any scrap sitting on this round part of the saw. The last type of cut I want to show you is called a sliding cut. Let's say we're cutting a piece off like this way, off of a board that's wide like this. All right, we'll just put this back at 0 degrees. This is a little wider than I would want to attempt with this saw blade because I'm going to miss this part out here. So to accommodate that, I'm going to unlock the slide. I can verify that I can now slide back and forth. And my plan for this cut is I'm going to start out here. I'm going to spin the saw blade up to full speed, push it down into my board, and then slide away from me while I'm making the cut. I never want to make a sliding cut toward myself. With a wider board like this, it's tempting to hold it right here, but I'm actually over open air there. So I'm going to make sure I get my hand back over this good sturdy part of the table that we're used to using. So I'll line up. I'm just going to cut about 1 inch off of here. My hand is in place where I'd like it. I've slid my saw forward, and we'll go ahead and make the cut. That's really all there is to it. Now when I'm finished, it's critical that I clean up after myself, not just as a cleanliness thing, but because this miter saw creates a lot of fine dust that can create a slipping hazard on the floor around. So we always keep a shop vac nearby. That's a good thing to suck up the sawdust off of the tool itself, as well as the floor and especially the mat around it. When you're finished, it's also important to lock the saw in the downward position before you walk away. So I'm gonna, with an open palm, press down, push that pin in, and that keeps the saw down. And then I can just shove it to the back and verify that the slide is locked, so it's in a good position for the next person to use it. One other note about safety on this saw, we didn't love that this was the piece of equipment in here that didn't have an emergency stop. Obviously it has a dual action trigger. If you let go, it'll start spinning down. But as the instructor, I didn't like the idea that we couldn't turn the saw off from the external. So that's what this big red button is here. If you hit that button at any time while the saw is spinning, it'll turn it off and it'll slowly spin down. I'll demonstrate that now. So while it's spinning, no matter whether I'm holding the handle down or not, it's gonna shut off. To reset it, I just give that a little twist. That's my emergency stop. So hopefully this has been helpful on safely using a miter saw, and see you next time.